Hi there, sweet friends. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I hope you are well, and I am so excited to be sharing this oh so sweet little Valentine mini album today. I created this with some paper bags from the Dollar General, and I have a new design for how to adhere these to the spine, and it's so fast. It's really easy. It's a great shortcut to get to a finished book, and this also has pockets on the side so you can incorporate some inserts here as well. So if that sounds good to you, then stick around and we will make it together. So as I mentioned, here are those bags that I picked up from the Dollar General. They are a pack of 10 for $4. And so this is a pretty good value to get that shortcut of having all of those nice finished edges and a sturdy base for your book. And so for today, we're going to use 4. They are the 8-inch high by 5-inch wide size. And so this is going to be the base. We are also going to be using this paper that I picked up from Amazon. This was a purchase from 2 years ago. I did go back to check and see if it's still available, and it was, in fact, and also $3 less. So that seems quite amazing to me after 2 years. So I will find a link for this to share it. It's really nice paper. It's 11 by 11, so not quite exactly standard. And then it does have the same print on either side, and so this would be a great one for those one sheet wonders. I'm also going to incorporate this new printable from my shop. It's just a Valentine mouse, and it's super sweet, and it has a lovely pink and gold background, so it's going to work with pink, but the accents are red, and so I think this is very versatile. We're going to be using ours today for a focal image on the front of the book, and then also as tip-ins, because I really do like to incorporate areas where you can add your journaling to go with your pictures. So let's focus on the bag to start. So in the past, I have always considered this bottom flap to be a pocket, and so I could utilize that for inserts. This time around though, I want to combine these together and make this a part of the spine. And so the first thing I want to do is fold that over, you see, right where the score line already exists. And you will notice when you do that, that one end will be a little bit longer, and you're going to take all your measurements from that longer side. And so the next thing I want to do is come in here with my guillotine cutter and cut this to be 6 inches wide from that outside edge. And so I'm just going to feed that through, line it up with my 6-inch line there at the top, and then go ahead and cut through those layers. I did miss that handle with that at this measurement, so you don't need to worry about pulling that out first. One last step I want to do for this bag before we begin to assemble. You see this will leave a little bit of flap of paper where that fold was, and so I'm just going to remove that right up to where the paper bag is. It just eliminates a little bit of that bulk so that it will be a nice flat seam when you go to adhere it. And so what I want to do is add a strip of my double-sided tape to each side. And then I have these pieces here prepared. This is going to be 110-pound cardstock, and I chose that specifically to be very sturdy. And so I have measured this to be 5 inches high by 2 1/4 of an inch wide. It's scored at 1 inch and also 1 1/4. So we're going to get 1/4 of an inch of depth here. You definitely need that to accommodate the bulk of the bottom of this bag. And so I'm going to use my 2 glue combo here, and that way I can adhere it and then keep moving along, and the tape will hold it in place while the glue sets up. So just go ahead and run a little bit of that adhesive here. I'm pressing that into my first score line, and then I'll line it up here on those scores so that I know it will be nice and even on the outside of the book. And then just press that into place. And you see that we're going to get that depth that we need. And then we'll have these coming off. That way we can add those bags there. So just go ahead and repeat that for this side as well. Alternately, you could probably use the cardstock that's colorful, but I would stick with the more sturdy cardstock if I were you, just so that you have a good, solid, sturdy spine. So now I have these all in place, and then we're going to use these to combine those bags. Now remember that we have those two depths. So I'm going to take all the measurements from here on out to the outside piece so that this will all line up inside our spine. So here is that spine all together, and I want to line this up so that it is along this outside edge. So we'll go in with that 2 glue combo. And line that up so that the corners come together and it stays straight and even going across. I have 3 of these connector pieces adhered for the spine, and then we have 4 of those bags. So now you want to come in and remove the tape from this side. Add your glue here as well. And then fold that over to sandwich your spine in between those bags. And so now you can see there would have been a gap here if we measured that up to the shorter end. So definitely keep everything lined up to the longer end, and that way all of these will be at the same measurement here on the right, and then we're not going to get into trouble with our spine here on the inside not having enough room for the longer piece of bags. So I would just repeat that process as I'm going along, pulling that tape just from one side. And then bring that together. If a little bit of that glue seeps out, it's okay because it will be trapped into that next section. And then do that. We have 2 more bags to add to finish, and I will do those with the same process. So now I have all 4 bags added to that spine, and I'm just shifting it and pressing it into the other direction so that I know that I'm getting a good contact. As you may have noticed, with some mass-produced items, there can be a slight variation, and so this one is just a little bit taller, and I'm just going to embrace that imperfection because this is really such a good shortcut to getting to a finished project. Now we want to cover this with those beautiful holiday papers, so let's flip open to our first set of pages, and here's where that sweet little printable is going to come in. I have one adhered to my colorful cardstock here, and then I also have one for the other side. So each set of pages will have 2 tip ends that will fold out. And so I have just printed this to the original design size, and so I have set my printer to the least amount of margin that it will allow without printing off the side, and I have it set in a portrait orientation, so it is meant to go up and down and as big as it can. And so whenever I do tip ends, I just measure this, and then I add 1/8 of an inch to the height, and then a 1/2 inch to the width, so that when I adhere this, I can score it, and I'll have an 1/8 inch around my picture, and then some to add as a flap will be sandwiched between the tip-in and the paper on the base, and so that will hold it secure. And if I have a cardstock that's light enough, I will go ahead and leave this without adding another layer of paper. And this is where you can add those journaling details right to this. There is no way that this is going to contrast so much that you can't read it, and it will keep those memories with your pictures, but a little bit more private. And so what I want to do first is add this to that cardstock. And then I am paying attention to which side of the book this is going to land, because like I mentioned, I want one to open this way, and then I also want one to open this way. And so that way everything will go in the right direction. So first what I want to do is grab my paper here, and so I have cut the colorful cardstock to be 4 7/8 by 5 7/8, and the printed paper is 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. I've already adhered this layer, but I will incorporate that tip in just along the side here and then press that into place. I will come back and add a little bit of extra double-sided adhesive here just where those two papers came together. And I do want to use my 2 glue combo for this. So let's pull that tape off here, the backing of the tape. And then I'll add this to the right-hand page. So because that bag was a little bit shorter, remember that you want to measure from the outside of the book to get your spacing for the layers. And so you will have a nice border of the white bag and then your colorful cardstock. So here's how that page comes together. And you can imagine as you're putting these in that you're going to get a lot of thickness. And so all of those layers are going to work to make this very sturdy. So let's just add this one in the same way with the same technique. I have prepared that paper again, and I'll just add that right up to my score line. And that Tombow or art glitter glue or whichever wet adhesive you prefer. Now you can see that bag would have been a little bit wrinkled, but you'll cover that up with this layer with your cardstock and pattern paper. And remember to adjust that so that you're measuring from the outside, and everything will be nice and neat and even. So here's your first set of pages with your tip ends, and you could put large size pictures in here, and that will be so nice to capture your memories. Now let's add 2 additional sets of pages. So for 4 of these bags, you're going to get 3 sets of 2 pages, and I have used most of the printable here. And so I have just chosen ones that I thought went well with the paper and then also with each other. And so this is going to come together really quickly. I have considered making a book with this same technique, but without all of the trimmings on the outside, but have it as a picture book for my grandson. He loves to look at pictures. If you sit with him in your phone, he will sit and look at pictures with you, especially if it's his family or the pets, and he just says, "More pictures, please." And so I think that he would appreciate just a very simple little scrapbook without all the extra trimming. and I could print from my phone onto a selfie. And so I think that would be an addition for him for his birthday. I think he will really enjoy that. So let's do the last page here. And I'm just adding my Tombow off camera so that you know that I am doing all of those layers. Here's the last one. This is so sweet, and I just absolutely love how it folds flat, and so you will be able to work on this easily. Now I do have my back page prepared as well, and so that was the same measurements as the inside pages. I will inevitably get someone reach out to me and ask if I could add more bags to make this a bigger book. And I would say I probably wouldn't, unless you consider supplementing your spine with another layer or something that will keep it more sturdy. I think this is just the right amount. 4 bags will be perfect for this. So I have some trim picked out to wrap around. And so this is just a beautiful stitched satin. It's in a rose pink, and as I do, I like to tie this around so that I can keep everything securely inside. I'm just going to tack that into place with a little bit of my double-sided adhesive. And then for the front cover, I did combine a couple of those patterns. These were actually offcuts, so I was happy to get use out of those so that my cover will have a little bit more interest on the front. So let's add that, remembering to keep your measuring from the outside so that it's nice and even. Before we finish the front cover, let's go ahead and add some inserts. I just used my offcuts for these. So I have 2 of the patterns and I'm just going to alternate them. And so I have this cardstock cut to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. And then the pattern paper is 4 1/8 by 4 3/8. And I'll just put those in. You see there is plenty of room in here to work that in, and also some additional space if you have flat mementos or keepsakes that you want to add. You can put those in there as well. So I have 1 for each of these bags. Adding that extra little bit of layering also helps to make it chunkier and thicker and more sturdy. So now we have 4 inserts and 6 tip-ins on the inside. I want to incorporate one of the printable images for the front cover. I also want to incorporate a die cut heart with a doily edge. And so I have just gone around, you see, and cut that out, leaving a little bit of a border, just fussy cut around there. And then I put that on that thick cardstock so it will be sturdy, and then included some of those scrapbook adhesive thin foam tabs so that I could get a little dimension from that. So here is my doily. And since it's going to be buried within all of those layers, I'm not too concerned about poking out all those fragile little bits. I just want to make sure that the edge is going to show. And then I do have this heart here cut from a different pattern for layering. And that is just going to go right on top. And so now you can see why I would want more of this to show than the background of the printable. So let's add that. He's super cute with his little Valentine scarf on in his heart. So I'm adding that here. And I have prepared a floral arrangement here with just a couple of pink magnolias, some die cut foliage, and some loopy twine bows and twine. And so I'll just add that with a little bit of hot glue. Then I've got my usual finishing details. a set of little heart charms and a button, so I'll add that with hot glue as well. If you are interested in that printable, I will link it in the description along with the paper from Amazon. But the bags from Dollar General were such a great shortcut that I think I will be making quite a few of these easy to make and fast projects. And as I mentioned, you could change the theme very easily just by switching out your pattern paper. I had a couple of little sequins here that I want to add just to create some balance from those charms on top. And of course I will add those with the tombow. And then we'll tie this up on the end. Make sure you've got a nice generous size bow, and then clip off the excess. And that is going to be it for today. I sure do hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And remember, I'll have those links added to the description below. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.